Well, welcome back, beloved online Sangha community, brothers and sisters, and otherwise. It's good. It's good to be here, and we're back for our weekly WeAwake group meditation, and we dreamt this up summer before this one, and we've been doing it for a while now, and we've just gotten great feedback from participants and our own experience. It's been very rich. At least it surely has been for me. So make sure you like it. I'm not even sure what happens when you like it, but everybody does these things that do that. So do it, and invite people to meditate with us. And the more we can transform ourselves individually and collectively, there is just no doubt that we're doing the most important work that needs to be done, starting at home. Obviously, there's plenty of work to be done in all the quadrants, inner and outer, but the inner work of transformation and healing. And the old story used to be in psychology that when you reached about 21, you were an adult, and that's it. You just reached adulthood, and you're basically the same until they planted you. After you died, hopefully after you died. But more recently, and one of the truly profound, significant findings of psychology is that we can keep developing into higher levels of compassion, of understanding, of ability to take perspectives other than our own, until we don't know what the upper reaches are yet, because we keep pushing to higher levels of functioning than we've ever done before. And it's gotten really, really fast. When you study the developmental history of humankind, the earliest levels were, the archaeological evidence for it, they just stayed that way for hundreds of thousands, if not a million years. And then it became, 50,000 years, and it became 5,000 years, and it became 2,000 years, and it became 500 years, and then it became 5 years or 10 years. And so this process of evolving our species has just gotten so rapid. And a lot of it is because, we have the technology of the gods and the ethics of cavemen, and that's putting cavemen down. I shouldn't say that. But anyway, we haven't caught up to just the power that we have now with this technology. However, the same technology as with WeAwake is helping us to evolve more quickly, so we can handle it. So at the same time we're creating all these new problems, we're actually creating the antidotes at the same time, which is really exciting stuff. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but this is July 16th, 2020. We are living in really interesting times, folks, and things are changing. It's like the old Dylan song back in the 60s, well, things changed then, but I think they're even changing more profoundly now. These times are indeed changing. And I heard recently that all the protest movements in the United States that were in reaction to George Floyd, and obviously he was the tip of the spear, but this is an ongoing huge problem. It's been part of our issues as a civilization and as a country, the United States, since even before we started. But over 70% of Americans in a certain poll, and I forget the poll, it was a respected polling firm, over 70% were in favor, supported the protesters. Are you kidding me? When is the last time 70% of Americans agreed on anything? I can't remember it. And Americans agreed that these protests were righteous because a black man was murdered, and we all got to see it and all got to taste it. That's super significant. So I know we can, and obviously we have a stunted moron as a president who just cannot lead us through these times and can't get us to, just to work together, get through this pandemic or anything else. All he knows how to do is to divide us and sow hatred. That's what got him in office, and it's the only thing he knows how to do. He's also incapable of saying, I was wrong, I fucked up. If he could have just done that and started over and said, now we're going to do it right this time, I think he would have won the election. But he's absolutely incapable. Narcissists cannot say that. I was wrong. So hopefully we have that capacity and we can evaluate. But anyway, just these are incredibly interesting times, and you know, they can go either way. It can get worse, we can devolve, and there's a lot of pressure to do that, to get more tribalistic, to get more nationalistic, to get more racistic, all of these things. Or we can evolve in the way of higher levels of development, more empathy, more compassion, more wisdom, more understanding, more capacity to take the perspective of others. And then our generations will gift those who come after us, and gift us those who are here now, and honor those who came before us. So it's very important work that we're doing. So today we are, let's see, we're doing, I had it here, the track actually, okay, it's called Recharge, and it's part of Neurohacks. And that's a four tracks that were designed just to help you through the day, to wake you up in the morning and help you go to sleep at night and everything in the middle. And Recharge was designed to help kind of that pick up midday. I don't know how your guys' energy patterns go, but I'm definitely a morning person. And then around mid-afternoon-ish is when, you know, I go down. So Recharge was designed for that. It's actually good for a lot of other things too. It's gamma, which we've worked with before. And gamma is a very high frequency, very interesting brainwave. And they first started seeing a lot of it and getting interested when they were looking at the brains of Tibetan monks, and they were doing particular compassion-oriented meditation, and the brain started, they saw a lot of gamma waves. And, you know, like with beta, alpha, theta, delta, epsilon, you know, just each one gets slower and lower, and just really slow, powerful brainwaves. So, gamma is really fast. It's off the spectrum, almost way up there. And I meditated with it earlier this morning, getting ready to do this. And what I find when I use gamma is that I can get in a very relaxed state, but relaxed and alert. It's almost like if you're, you know, you're I don't know, ancestor, and you're out hunting, and you're just able to freeze and be completely alert while you're, you know, you're watching whatever you're watching. And it's a really interesting state. It also helps us to process lots of information. And there's massive amounts of information that we all have access to with these little things. Yeah, make sure you turn them off while we're doing this meditation. Well, I just did mine. And so you're not interrupted, but, you know, you have to be able to use discernment. You know, what is good information? What is bad information? What is just another, you know, rabbit hole to get lost in? So I think gamma can really help us both in developing our capacity to be alert, to be aware, to develop compassion, and also to process information. And that's why we have these big, juicy, fat human brains that so far in the known universe, we've found nothing more complex than the human brain. So, and, you know, there may be ET neighbors who are, you know, we'll find at some point that have more developed brains. But right now, we are the top of the food chain as far as consciousness on our planet. And of course, our consciousness at certain levels of meditation begin to connect with all levels of consciousness, whether from amoebas to bunny rabbits to fish and dogs and cats, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of the interesting thing at some levels of meditation. But as individual organisms, these things are really, really powerful, and they can create a lot of havoc and problems, or they can just create great beauty, great wisdom, and great skillfulness, and great inventiveness, and great creativity. It's really extraordinary. So I think it's inherent that we take responsibility for these organisms, and we work on them. We develop a practice to keep our brains and our hearts connected and in a healthy, ever-evolving state where we just get to be the better versions of ourselves, and we learn to accept ourselves and move on from there to become what we were born to be. So without further ado, let's do Recharge. And this is a 20-minute track, and I'll see you on the other end. Well, welcome. Nobody went anywhere, but anyway, welcome to having your eyes open and being here. Uh, that was great, extraordinary. And again, we're living in really, really interesting times, and this pandemic has affected all of us, all over the world. It's just it's a human crisis, and it's exposed the strengths and the weaknesses of our system, and it's been very upsetting to a lot of us. It's hard, and I'm largely an introvert, so it's not as hard for me as it would be for extroverts, I would imagine. And an introvert being is a person who generally gets refueled by being alone. Generally, I get a lot from you guys, trust me. But an extrovert is somebody who gets refueled by being with people. So if you're that tend toward extroversion, it's going to be really, really hard on you. And being an introvert, I still miss connection with people, going out to a restaurant and just if meet somebody you want to talk to, oh, come by the house, let's have coffee or tea or something. Let's discuss these matters. Can't do that. But what can we do? How can this be an opportunity? Well, we may have more time to do things that we didn't have before, because a lot of us can't even work. So what can you do with these times? Well, you can cultivate aspects of yourself that need cultivation. And I'm always talking about integral practice, integral transformative practice, integral recovery practice, integral life practice. Different names, same thing, where there are four important parts of ourselves that we have to work on as a lifetime commitment. And that's body, exercise and diet, your mind, study, wisdom, great teachers, great books, great podcasts, all these things we have available to us. Your interior emotional life, to include your woundings, your shadow issues that may be getting in the way of becoming who you are. And you can generally know, here's a way to recognize a shadow. If something happens and you react emotionally in a much stronger way, either with great grief or great rage or whatever it might be, than a normal person would react given the same circumstances. Maybe you're touching into something that needs to be looked at. And in my experience with shadow work, the more that we do the interior meditative place and we're open to it, and we relax the different structures that might be holding these things in check, they can come out and they can be processed, and we can become aware of them, so they're no longer shadows. And by definition, shadow is something you can't see. It's in the shadows. But in these deep states of relaxation and in the invitation, is there anything I need to be dealing with or looking at? In my experience, these things begin to emerge, and we can see them, and then we can experience whatever corrective feelings that need to go through our body in order to release these things energetically. And there's just great energy and great transformative power in these shadows. And then those things that were held down with quite a bit of psychic energy are released. And so there's great power in the shadow, and we can do some of our greatest growth and healing from dealing with that. So the interior work, and then of course, the last thing is spiritual, is the inner journey to become aware of who you are at the deepest levels. And yeah, you don't have to worry about going too deep, because at the deepest levels, it's really okay, and you are okay, and so am I at that level. So sometimes we go through some scary stuff, and we don't want to keep relaxing into that. We're guarded. Well, just stay present with whatever there, because you're going to a place. If you go through the darkness, you will emerge into the light if you stay with the process. And it changes. So yeah. So those are the things that we need to work on. And how do we adapt? I was a big gym rat, and all of a sudden my gyms were closed. What do you do? Well, I'm a running rat now, and I learned to adapt to do different exercise. And it was kind of challenging at first, because my message was, I don't like running. after a few weeks, it's like, I kind of like running. It's pretty cool. And so I adapted that way. I've also started reading books working on books that I felt neglected. And one of the things I felt was neglected in my education, largely because I dropped out of high school when I was 14, was Shakespeare, the great bard of the English language. And I didn't get that in college. I was reading the Greek classics and Faust and Goethe. And anyway, I read a bunch of great stuff, but never Shakespeare. And normally when I pick up Shakespeare, I just like, it sounds cool, but what in the heck are these people saying? Kind of hard to understand. So Joseph Cale, who is one of our brilliant creators for WeAwake, profound releasing, journey to the center, the self, and the soul, the other ones. Anyway, he's done a bunch of great stuff for us. Really have a lot of admiration. He's also a Shakespearean actor. So he turned me on to this series of Shakespearean plays called No Fear Shakespeare. So on one side, you have what they're saying, the actors are saying in regular English. That's easy to understand. And then you have the Shakespearean, beautiful language. So you can read the regular English and go over and understand what they're saying. And I actually put Shakespeare up on a counter in the kitchen. So every time in there, I'll read a couple of pages. I'm working on Romeo and Juliet at the moment. So anyway, that's just an example of things you can begin to cultivate. If you've never read Lord of the Rings, Tolkien, oh my God, number one novel voted by those who know such things of the 20th century. Absolutely essential if you understand, I don't know, the genius of that we're capable of. Also Harry Potter, it's great too. Anyway, so develop those things intellectually that you've been looking for. We have YouTube. Never, ever, ever, ever in the history of human beings have we had so much information, access, anything you want to know. It's there. Whether it's changing the oil in your car, or how do you carve a Greek statue, a marble statue. Anyway, it's all there. Histories, philosophy, religion, spirituality, meditation, exercise, politics, the arts, it's all there. So use this opportunity. Oh, and of course your meditative practice. My God, we have these tools now where you can be meditating like a master the first time you use it. At least your brain waves will be entrained to a level that only master meditators could reach before. And then of course there's a lot to learn once you're able to achieve these states, but you can make such quick progress and work through so many things, such as finding, who you are, what your life is about, what you need to let go of, what you need to cultivate, relationships that you need to change, to drop, or to find, all the stuff. And there are deep places where wisdom resides in us, where we can figure these things out. That knows we have inner sages that are available to us if we put in the time and do the practice. So, and another thing as far as this goes, which has always stood me well in my life, and I started this as a very young man, is act as if your life mattered. Okay, act as if you haven't found it yet, but that you're working on it. You're as Cass Stevens said, you're on the road to find out, and conduct your life that way, and then you won't do harmful, stupid things. And how does that fit in? If my life mattered, am I going to do that line? Am I going to go down that road with those people and do those drugs and do that stuff? Or am I going to get into this, less than ethical or criminal activities, blah, blah, blah. No, I won't do that, because eventually we'll all get home, but you'll waste so much time and put yourself through so much ignorant suffering. And suffering is going to happen. Okay. But we don't want ignorant suffering as much as possible. Useless suffering, stupid suffering. We want noble suffering. And that becomes a teacher that makes us better and stronger and wiser. So, yeah, we're in these times, and Rex was saying before we started that from the Philippines, they're talking about this thing going on for another couple of years, and I think if we would get honest with ourselves in the United States, we'd probably do the same thing, because we've got to figure this stuff out, but it's going to be quite a while. So use this as an opportunity to cultivate your own growth, and your physical strength, and your intellectual wisdom, and your emotional health, and in your spiritual depth. Use the opportunity, and that's something you get really excited about. And I think if you treat yourself that way, and work from the place that your life does matter, you know, and whether it's raising your children or whatever it is, or you have a career thing or something, a big gift to give on a big stage or a small gift, we don't know, but they're all essential. And if you work in that way, I think it will help a lot. It'll help you work through the depression. It'll help you work through the anxiety, and where you saw just darkness and problems, you'll see growing hope and excitement and happiness to be able to take responsibility for your life and become a better version. Because there's really nothing more exciting than when you, wow, I'm getting better. I'm becoming a better John. You know, I'm getting stronger, wiser, better, more skillful, and that's really, really, really a good story, and it's really a great experience. So, and that's why we're coming together to support each other in our group meditations. And we now have the tools, even though we may be socially distancing, we can connect with everybody all over the planet with this technology. It's really extraordinary. So cultivate, use this opportunity to recultivate and reawake or begin new meaningful relationships, because we are relational creatures, and we are better when we work together. We are better when we find people to support us in our noblest aspirations. So yeah, so God bless, and use this time to become the person you were born to be. And we just finished our first experiment in this. Was an online vision quest process, and we had 100 people, and we would get together and for 5 days, and I would give a talk. We'd talk about issues that we were going to work on. We had workbooks, and we were using the WeAwake track Vision Quest, 2 very powerful 30-minute tracks. People would go and do the work, and then they would come back. And this is not a traditional Vision Quest form. In traditional Vision Quest, you go out and you're in the wilderness by yourself. And when you come back, then you have the medicine person greet you and meet you and help you process the information. Well, this was going on the whole time, and it was just extraordinary. And one person on the, as it was our group, knew something about astrology, and said, you know, there was an alignment of the planets and the stars. It was just really propitious, and it sure felt like that. Well, I think that alignment is probably still there, and we're going to be doing that again soon, so we'll keep you posted on that. But it is time to do this work. The world is changing around us, so let's keep our inner growth and change on that leading edge of getting better and healing and working through issues that we have ignored are now right in our face. Great opportunity, great time. So anyway, thank you for being here. Let's inspire and support each other in giving our gifts and cultivating the skill sets that we need to be the persons that we were born to be. So anyway, love you guys a lot. Thank you for being here again, and let your friends know about it. And let's just get more people doing this work together. The world will be better for it. Thank you.